Hey, what's up? It's Coulou. We're here with Neverywhere, and we're about to do a loft show. I love being upstate, especially with New York. So much concrete everywhere. I find being in nature always allows me to do the simplest things first and finding what feels good in music. So I find whenever I go up to a cabin for a little bit to work on music, like I'll, go on a nice hike by myself, and usually like the musical ideas that I actually want the most usually come to mind, and I'm less kind of clouded with like what's cool, what do the people want kind of thing. So I always find nature helps like bring some clarity to what I want to make.
Yeah.
It feels like a kind of natural ebb and flow. Like with the ambient project, it came about so naturally because I was leaning into playing a lot more trumpet, and I wanted to integrate that into the music more, and I wanted to integrate kind of free form creativity and improvisation. And so once the ambient project started taking off, I just like put a little bit more effort into that. But I'm also working on a regular album that I'm singing on as well. And so it's been cool to like balance the two with each other, because I found that like a lot of the last songs that I've written that I sing on started from ambient pieces, and a lot of my earliest like best ambient works were chords from songs that I'd written previously. So I kind of find that like they tend to inform each other in a really cool way. Yeah, so I think they have like a nice relationship with each other right now. Feels like when I'm writing songs, there's like a real level of there's a lot more digging deeper into yourself, because you have to like get feelings into words that make sense. And I find like the path of like having a feeling and wanting to express that through ambient music almost feels one-to-one a lot of times. It's like when I'm playing the horn, I kind of just try and clear my mind. I'm not trying to do anything specific, and it can be really cathartic. And I found with like writing songs, it's one of my favorite feelings in the entire world. It feels like magic. Like when I'm writing something and I'm like, lyrics are coming to me, the story is happening, and I'm like, it feels like I'm not even writing it when it happens, but it feels like there's layers deeper that I have to get to be able to do that. So, but this like last ambient record that I'm putting out right now was the first time that I stepped away from improvising and instead like actually really wrote the music for it. And so it felt like kind of somewhere more in between. But there is something about having words make sense and evoke feeling that requires like a level of like depth to yourself that sometimes takes a little bit more like alone time, which is usually like while I'll go upstate into a cabin to write music. Songwriting feels like an enigma of art. Like I feel like in so many other spaces of art, whether it's like a painter, filmmaker, sculptors, even like orchestral composers, there's this arc of like getting better and better and better. Whereas with songwriting, there's this aspect of it where it's like so many people's best work was like when they were like 22, like that first or second album. And so something I've really found that happens is like there's a level of free creativity that you can have with songwriting that's so precious, and it's almost like you like scare a turtle and it goes into its shell, and that's like the idea of like songwriting. And you have to be so delicate with the process, because we can all think of like incredible artists who their best stuff that we know were those first few records, and there's such a smaller amount of artists that hold through 5, 6, 7 albums, and those it's so much work to do that. And so I've really been trying to be in the practice, because I've personally felt like my songs have gotten so much better and I've loved them more and more. And I think a big thing that's been helpful in a lot of ways is the ambient project, because that project requires me to like let go of things and like make mistakes and have imperfections. And I think that's where like great songwriting kind of lives as well.
You got to be in touch with your inner child.
Yeah.
Like throughout your life a little more.
Yeah.
Where if you have so much success very early on, you can kind of lose sight of that and get lost in the sauce, if you will. Right?
Dude, for real. It's definitely like a slow burn is the best. I think like I've had so many opportunities with music where like I thought one thing was gonna pop off and it didn't, and I've always been really grateful that like I feel like my career has been a steady set of stairs and not like launching up into something I wasn't ready for. I think it's like required me to take more time and practice more things, you know?
Yeah.
Right now we're in the phase of like I'm scoring to the film, so I have the movie without music or with temp scores, which is when they like put music over it, and then I like, it's a whole, it's like such a wormhole of stuff you can go down with like all of that. But right now I'm essentially like sitting at my studio and I'm playing the film, and I have, you know, 60 plus different points of music that I'm writing, and you know, we've kind of found and honed in a sound for the film, which is really cool. And I'm just trying, it's definitely a whole other world of like a ton of output, but it needs to be incredible. And it's also like bigger than an album, but less like technical depth in each song, because I'm not putting words to anything. And so, and there's themes, so it also has these weird classical influences as well. But it's a crazy process. This feels like a cool opportunity in life where like every day when I'm sitting down to work in the studio, I'm like having to punch above my weight. And it's cool though, because I feel like I'm getting better at everything. And it is hard, but also it's been like an incredible, I love being pushed, you know. It's like, I think that's where like the best stuff comes from, is when like you say yes to something you're not sure you're capable of. And then you're just like, well, I have to do it because I said I was gonna do it. So. Right now, you know, we're in the middle of the process, so we'll check in a couple months and hopefully the movie's done. It feels like it sits between my ambient and songwriting world, and also like growing up playing trumpet, just like how influenced I was from jazz as well. It's a very like film noir, Miles Davis, Chet Baker kind of sound to it, but it's got me playing like bass every day for hours and drums and piano like on a level that I haven't in a long time. So it's definitely like out of my comfort zone, and so it's been a cool experience to be like, what is my most true and honest sound in this? Because if it's not that, it's not gonna sound great, you know? It's cool, like I think the meditation project came from a place of, like I was COVID era, started posting like trumpet covers on TikTok. It really blew up. I had like a pretty big channel, and I met some like really dope artists through that. But what ended up happening was like I had built this big following, and then I was putting out songs, and there's just like this disconnect where I was like, I know I can play trumpet over this song and it's doing really well right now and it's gonna get a lot of views, but it feels like I'm doing like a party trick and I'm not like presenting my art. And so I kind of hit this point where I was like, I don't feel as though I'm getting what I want out of this anymore, and I need to just like take a break. And in doing that, I was like taking time to just improvise on the guitar and play trumpet over it and not record this. And it's kind of this beautiful coming together of things, but I had this like anti-TikTok idea of like, what if I post 20-minute long videos with no hook, no edits, nothing written, no written melodies, like just the opposite of everything we're being fed. Because when I'm playing these meditations myself, it's like totally relaxing me. And so I was like, maybe there's a chance other people will feel that as well. And so I just like, when I had the idea to do it, I was like, I'm gonna do 30 of these. And however long it takes me to do 30, I'm gonna keep doing that. And once I hit 30, I'm gonna decide if it's a good idea or not. Because I just feel so strongly that like, even though there's nothing else like this that I'm seeing right now, and obviously like people are making ambient music and all these other kinds of projects, like long form music, but I didn't see anything like specifically like what I was doing. But I was so drawn to it, so I just committed to doing 30, and by the time I was on like the 6th or 7th one, it had already started to like really pick up. And it kind of came down to this feeling of like, I was doing exactly what I wanted to do the most, and I realized that like a lot of times when you're trying to do something that seems like it's working for other people, it's not what you want to do the most. And if you're making art, if you're doing some version of art that isn't what you wanted to do, it's not going to be your best work, you know? Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like when you find something that works, and I think like every artist has this kind of thing, is like stepping away from something that's already working and taking the risk that maybe the next thing like won't quote unquote work. But I think there's also just like this mental process that I think a lot of us go through, which is like just because people aren't really feeling one thing, you don't have to like value it based on that. And I think like learning to step away from like everything I make has to be validated by how it does on the internet is like a difficult but important practice to like stay creative. And so I've found myself like having this project, and I know there's like a limit, you know? Like I don't think there's like you figure out what to do in music and you can do it forever and it's always gonna work. Like you're on a balance beam and you're constantly having to find your next point of balance. And like I have this with the meditations right now, but I know there's gonna be like a point where it's like I'm not feeling it or people stop feeling it, and it's like I think the priority for me is like to keep learning and keep being like, if what I am good at is seeing the world around me, taking it in, and then finding a way to express it, then I have to keep like taking the world in around me, and that'll always change. And I think like so many people's favorite artists, it's all about like that next project, like what are they on? Like what are they into? What's the new aesthetic? What's the new color scheme? Like what's the new? And so I think like approaching art as like you're learning, you're always having to discover new things. So I feel like I'm in that right now, you know, like the meditation project, like I'm also been like kind of exploring with like house music ambient works, you know, like what's like a 25-minute house song sound like? And like how does that feel if you like have ambient music with that? So I think like just trying different things and it like trying to let go of the idea that like how it performs defines whether or not it's a success, and instead just like, can I keep showing up and learning, you know, and like hopefully I make enough money to keep doing it. Yeah, I grew up being like obsessed with photography and videos. Like me and my friends growing up would like, I would shoot skate videos like all the time and be like up all night like trying to edit the next skate video, and like I got really into photography in middle school as well, and so I would like intern for like a photographer or like, you know, helped him out with like shoot weddings and stuff, and I always like was really drawn towards cameras, and so it was kind of a very natural coming together of things where like, I think something that people miss a lot with the world of social media is like, they think of like, you're trying to find a vehicle to present your art in, like how do I encapsulate my music in something, and I think like I've tried to look at it as like, how can I create a single piece of art that's going to exist on here? And for me it was like with the meditation projects, I'm like I want the shot of the meditation to be like an art piece in itself, and I want it to feel like when I'm looking at that, the image itself is bringing me into the space musically, and it's enhancing the musical experience rather than just like setting up my phone or like doing it in like a windowless room with bright lights. Like I want you to feel like you're in that space when you're listening to it. And so like, yeah, the whole video photography world was just like, it's beautiful to get to bring them together because I feel like they did so seamlessly. I have a new album coming out right now. It's called Crystal Bonsai Tree, and I have 2 songs out at the moment, and we've got a few more in the record, so please look out for that. It's amazing, it's beautiful, I had so much fun recording it, it's totally a trip, so yeah.